Welcome to Vividly Violin and welcome to another video. Today we are going to continue our conversation on whole body health and health awareness just in general as musicians. Last video we talked about stretching and some of the different techniques and stretches that I've incorporated into my practice routine since getting in the car accident last October, I think it was. And just some of the different things that my physical therapist had shared with me. Today we're going to be going a little bit more in depth and I guess kind of look at the whole spectrum of whole body health as a musician and just some of the different things that I've learned and things that have helped me. And that I would say that my journey on kind of whole health awareness as a musician really started about a couple years ago. I think it was like 2018, 2019. I was having some really bad tension, which is boo, not good. Wow, that was really cringy. Anyways, wasn't good. So because of that, I was able to get this conversation going with my teachers, with my piano teachers, with my violin teachers, and kind of ask them like, hey, is this something that you've experienced? What has helped you? And I would say that my awareness has really skyrocketed since the accident. Honestly, I'm so happy to be able to start talking about this because I feel like it's not something that gets talked a lot about. Everything is about practicing and, you know, what pieces are you playing, and all of that is so important and awesome. But how are you supposed to practice well and play the pieces that you want to play when you are physically unhealthy and when you are not doing what is necessary to keep your body going? So the major thing that I have learned is working out, which you're probably thinking like, are you serious? Like what? This is not that big of a deal. I honestly felt the same way. A lot of people that I talk to that are musicians are like, I'm already practicing 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours a day. I might be teaching, working, whatever that is. Why should I be making time to work out? I'm okay with I don't need to look ripped. I mean, if you want to look ripped, great, but that's not the main goal. The goal is actually to be able to have a really good baseline of strength so that when you're practicing, when you're playing, you are not going to be getting your muscles out of balance. Because here's how it works. When you're practicing, you are using certain muscles a lot. Like, for example, as violinists, we tend to play and then we tend to bring up our shoulder, which is not incorrect. You are actually supposed to bring up your shoulder a little bit to help hold up your violin. But because we have to hold up our shoulder just a little bit, that overstrengthens parts of our shoulder, our neck, our back, and so then we end up having these really huge imbalances in our muscles, which then can totally lead to injuries and tension and pain and pinched nerves and all of those things that we try to avoid, and all those things really inhibit our playing, but they happen because we are not leveling out our strength and our foundation that we are working upon. I have a colleague that I work with a lot, and she's a wonderful pianist, and she had a couple years ago a really bad injury that actually set her out a couple months on practicing, on performing, all these different things. She ended up spending a lot of money to going to different doctors trying to figure this out because it was a really bad injury. And what ended up being the culprit of all of these all this pain and tension, she had a period of several months where she had been practicing very intensely for many hours, and she ended up, I'm just going to show you, she was playing, she was like hunching basically because of the music, and so she was hunching, focusing, and playing like this for hours and hours a day, and that ended up creating some major tension and really bad injuries. Although that is a piano example, it's not a violin example, and I'm a violinist, and I'm guessing some of you guys are violinists as well. We also have something very similar. If you are playing and you've got music on your music stand and you're going like this, I find myself doing this all the time, where I'll be playing and I'll kind of be like leaning forward a little bit, looking at the music, or like that will wreak havoc for you and for your spinal health, for your muscular health, for your nerve health. Anyways, you get it. When I heard her story, it really inspired me to continue moving my body. And sometimes when you think working out, you just think lifting weights. Like, I'm just gonna go to the gym and I'm just gonna lift weights, or I'm gonna go start running. One of the important things that you have to be looking for when you're trying to find a way to work out as a musician is you want to find something that's going to give you good upper body work, back, shoulders, arms, as well as core strength. And so swimming is really good for that. Swimming is supposedly like the best exercise that you can possibly do for a musician because it's non-weight bearing, you're in the water, you've got lots of movement because you're constantly moving your hands and you are gonna have a really good range of motion and you're gonna have an increased blood flow plus very low intensity strength training in your arms. Two really important parts that my colleague's doctor pointed out to her is number one, swimming is really good because it's strengthening those muscles that are pulling your shoulders back, and for many instruments when you're practicing, you are playing like this or you're very tempted to play like this, violin, piano, cello, viola, there's so many instruments where you are constantly going like this, and swimming actively is pulling your arms back. If you don't want to do swimming, great, but you want to find some sort of exercise that's going to be working basically the opposite of what you do mostly in your practice. Another thing is that swimming is bilateral, and so you're working both hands, and that is really important because when you're playing your instrument, when you're practicing, most of the time you're working one hand a lot more than the other. For example, for violin, we're working our left forearm so much, but then our right forearm, we're working very different muscles. So between the two arms, we're gonna have muscles that are very much imbalanced. And so you wanna find something that's gonna be working on both of them so you can kind of even out that strength foundation. In the past couple years, I have done swimming. I've also done bar, I've done reform Pilates. Bar and reform Pilates, or just Pilates in general, are really good as far as creating a really good core strength. But the one thing that I found, the downside for those are that they don't focus quite as much on upper body, and so I found that my arms were still not totally as strong and weren't creating that baseline just quite as much as I would have liked to. Right now I'm actually doing CrossFit, which I know, CrossFit, woo, but I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, I know people get made fun of for doing CrossFit because it's like, oh my word, it's like everybody loves CrossFit and you have to tell everybody about it. CrossFit honestly is really awesome though. I'm really enjoying it. I enjoy that it has cardio. It also has strength training. I just have to be careful when I'm doing it to make sure that I'm not going overweight or I'm not doing anything that might stress my wrists. So I have talked to my instructor about it and he knows what I'm looking out for. That really goes though for any sort of exercise. Make sure that you are always thinking about your hands, your forearms, your shoulders, your neck. You want to work them out, but you don't want to overdo it or do it in a way because you're so zealous to work out that then you end up injuring yourself, because that's another problem, and then you're still injured. If you have any ways that you have found that have really helped you with preventing injury, or if you have an injury right now that you're working through and you have something specific that you want more information on, comment down in the comments and hopefully either I can provide an answer or another musician looking through the comments will be able to answer your questions. So thank you so much again for watching this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Happy practicing!